Welcome to the Love is Our Nature podcast. Here we are in the jungle in Santa Teresa, Costa Rica. If you're on YouTube, you can see this amazing jungle background behind us. And we're going to include the sound of the birds and the ocean and everything in it. So enjoy the background sound. And I'm here with an amazing friend of mine. I've been so lucky to connect with Livia Luz. She's just an amazing person. You will see very quickly why she got invited in the Love is Our Nature podcast. So how you doing, Livia?
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be invited here, really.
Yeah.
I am great.
Awesome.
Really. Yeah.
Awesome.
Life is just a miracle right now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't it? Yeah. Awesome. So I want to tell people who you are, just so they know who this human being is right here next to me. So Livia was born and raised in Switzerland. She's a coach from the Tantric Institute of Integrated Sexuality. She guides women into female and sexual empowerment. She loves combining breath, visualizations, and pleasure to help them manifest whatever they desire in life. The essence of her work is to build more intimacy, trust, and balance, establishing a deep connection to the body and mind, but also to the emotional world, to feelings and desires. As a result, they feel more alive, full of joy, and open to receiving pleasure. Livia uses different somatic techniques in the area of meditation, breath work, embodiment, and many more. She is deeply devoted to her work and her soulmate clients. What a joy to have you in the Love is Our Nature podcast, Livia. Thank you for accepting my invitation.
Pleasure is mine.
All right. So what we're going to talk about in this episode of the podcast is how to feel alive and fully experience pleasure. And one thing about Livia, the moment I saw her, this is who she is, right? If you haven't had the pleasure to get to know her, if you ever do, you see her and you're like, wow, what are you on? And I really mean this to you, Livia. It's when I met you, you just seemed so at home, this deep relaxation, so settled in your body, settled in who you are, comfortable with yourself at such a deep, authentic level. And that was my curiosity to get to know you better, and thankfully, universe has allowed me to do so to a certain extent. So yeah, thank you.
Hey, pleasure is mine, as I said.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, let's talk about how you wound up here in this jungle in Santa Teresa, Costa Rica, and bring us up to speed with your life a bit and how you got here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Costa Rica. Hey, to be honest, there was an inner voice inside of me already last year, and it was really hey, you have to go to this place, you have to go to this land. And when we decided, me and my partner, to come to Costa Rica, I didn't look up where could we go or where are nice places. I was just I need to go to Santa Teresa.
You knew right off the bat.
I just know I have to go there.
What did you know about Santa Teresa though?
Nothing.
Where did you even learn about Santa Teresa?
I mean, it was mentioned. Yeah, it's just a place. Yeah.
Okay.
And I just knew I have to come here. I had no idea why, but it was just
So you had just heard about it from the woodwork.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to come here, and this is something what I learned on my path. It was a long way to where I have been, where I came from, to be on the place that I'm now. Oh, I have this inner voice. I need to follow it. I have this inner knowing, my inner wisdom, and I need to follow it. So, yeah.
So that's how you came to Santa Teresa, Costa Rica.
Yes.
And you got here when?
Beginning of April.
Beginning of April. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you wound up here. Tell us a little bit about your your training, the work you do with women right now, just so we get to know that a little bit better.
Okay, so the work right now I'm doing.
Yes.
So okay. So basically, still studying at the Tantric Institute of Integrated Sexuality, and
where is this institute, by the way?
It's online.
It's online. Okay.
Yes, it's online. It's from that magical woman, Layla Martin. And she combines science and the art of Tantra.
Yes. I actually have seen an interview where she was interviewed, and I learned quite a bit about her and her work. What a coincidence! Now here I have one of her students. So you've met her online.
Yeah. We study with her, and so she's for me like she's just like this person. When I saw her the first time, I was like, as you said before to me, like I was like looking at her, I was like, fuck, what did she take? Like, what's going on with this woman?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be like her.
She is quite high energy, right?
Like so high energy, like so an ecstasy, like this natural aliveness. And I was like, oh my god, I want to be like this. So, and this whole field, like I'm into the field, like in this tantric field since a couple of years, but I was just longing for more depth for myself, but also to grow an online business, so I can travel those beautiful places like here. And awesome. So my work started, and really realized so. I think you always kind of try to give people a transmission in something you went through yourself. So my path in my life, like from having a complete different life and like numbing myself with stress and work and alcohol and drugs, and from really like not being into my body and not feeling alive, to the place where I'm at now, it was like a beautiful journey. Like, it was like, like, so how to put this into short term, such a long journey.
Tell us about the journey.
So, basically, the field of sexuality was always really interesting for me. Because I saw like a lot of blocks inside of me. Like, so I was like really disconnected to my body. I was like not feeling a lot of pleasure. I was performing a lot in life, but also in sexuality. I was using sex to numb myself even more, like unconscious sex. And so when I opened that door and started studying in this field, and you have to do a lot of self-work, like a lot. So it was just basically, the field of sexuality is such a beautiful mirror from your own life, like, so I saw like, wow, okay, I'm kind of like, where can I not surrender to, like, or where can I not open myself up for pleasure or to receive something? And those were basically also the areas in my life, like, or like, what am I holding back? And it's like, and it's still like an ongoing journey, and it will be my entire life. Like, but basically I just saw like, wow, like those big shifts I have done, like in such a small period of time, and to see like how my life was changing from that, and how I can giving my life like this touch of ecstasy and vibration from like using different techniques or methods I'm working with. It was just like mind blowing, like, and how I could like liberate myself, or like kind of like work through, like, let's say like, bad experiences, or like maybe painful experiences, conditioning, like, and all that stuff, that I'm not being like controlled from all of this unconsciously through my subconsciousness. It was just mind-blowing, and I was like really like, wow, this is like, like the feminine energy right now is rising, like the women are like gathering, they are like being empowered now, and this is what we need. Like I just saw like this work is so needed right now as a planet, and yeah.
I see. So tell me a bit more about, before you got into this type of work, you mentioned that you were using sex as a way to like sort of numb yourself in some way, and you called it unconscious sex. What is unconscious sex?
So I would say like, so unconscious is always like when I'm not really aware of like what I'm doing, when I'm not present, like when I'm not really like embodying it, like feeling it. And so in my way, it was like, so as I was like numbing my whole being, basically, I had to start to build a story around me, because who am I when I'm not myself? Like now you, like the reflection you give me, like you see me as like completely who I am. Like I'm like a transparent person now. Like,
yes.
But it was not always like that. And I was like, because I was so numb and disconnected, like I had to like create this kind of story around me. And what else do we women from the Western world want to be than like those like sex queens, or like, like just like kind of like,
right, like be treated like some supermodel.
Yes, and like I'm always like turned on and like willing, and I have like 10 orgasms in a row, and like of course you can have that, like but it was like more performing. It was more performing, and like my entire life was kind of performing.
So you had experiences where you felt like disconnected from your body. What was the catalyst for you that where you became aware of that? Like, wait a second, I'm having these sexual encounters, sexual experiences, yet I feel disconnected. What gave you that awareness?
So it was for sure like my health. I get like my body was start talking to me, because our bodies, like they talk to us. They are like, I mean, like this. It's this crazy mechanism who just works. Like I don't know many people. They know how it works around the blood flow and our heart pressure and everything. Like, but it just works like 24/7.
Right.
It's like such a smart thing.
Yes.
Like so. So and it talks to us. It has its own consciousness actually. And
I actually talk all about my own experience of discovering that for myself in episode 1 of the podcast. Well, it was during an ayahuasca ceremony where all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second. Like my body has its own consciousness. And here we are having a conversation, and we got to talk just like you and I were talking. It was a huge awakening for me around how the body communicates with me. But you got to receive communications from your body without any psychedelics, from what I gather, right? So how did you start discerning these communications? Because I think for most people, at least where I come from, like they would be like, well, I don't hear my body saying anything.
Oh, so it was not like the nice kind of talk. It was like through pain. Like my body started to give me a lot of pain and started to talk to me. And, like deep inside of myself, like there was like this piece, like deep behind many, 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 many layers. There was this piece inside of me who knew like there's something else to do than to work like this crazy job, like to party every weekend really hard, to like perform, to like be this crazy woman, like. And I knew like it was like kind of this essence, and it was really hard for me to tap into it because it was like so hidden and so closed down. But I knew like I have to find this.
Mm.
I have to find it.
There was something in you that knew that there was some sort of disalignment, to put it that way, or that you weren't being true to your deepest part of yourself, or something like that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I just knew there is a piece inside of me that is alignment. And I just had the feeling like I need to go and find this piece again.
Yeah.
I was like, is this reality around me even true? Like, do I really want to, like, when is the right moment to stop all of this?
To stop
when,
what?
When is the moment of change? You know, like, there was like basically like, okay, when do I change something? Because I felt like disconnected. I felt unhappy. I had health issues. Mm-hmm. And I was just questioning, like, is this really, so is this how it looks like? Did I came to this planet is this my purpose?
Right. Okay. So then those deep questions
like
started coming.
Those deep
right?
questions started to come.
And just so we get the full picture, you said you were working really hard. What kind of work were you doing?
So then, like before, I was like doing like marketing work, but after, like, I was working in gastronomy, was like doing events and like working, like having like night jobs in nightclubs and like just doing those kind of things, like working with artists. Like I had like a small booking agency. Like I was always into nightlife. Like it was just like really running from my energy. Like I didn't slept a lot.
It was your own agency.
Yeah.
You were already an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was really small and sweet. So.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So there you are, thinking and feeling, something here is off, right?
Yeah.
And part of what you knew was off was the sexual experiences you were having, not just work, and not just health.
No, the sexual experience was not so present.
Okay.
Then, like, but when I started my path, like, I got really fast into the field of Tantra. Mm-hmm. So, and then I had basically the experience. I saw those women, and like what I said with Layla before, with my teacher, I just saw them, and I was like, what? What's going on with them? Like, they are glowing, like, they are shining, like, they are like, and they are like, oh, it feels so good. Like, you know, like those people, if they come into a room, they don't even have to talk.
Right.
They have like this beautiful presence. Like, and I was like, wow, I want to be like this.
Well, congratulations, you made it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and where did you learn about this? Where did you discover Tantra?
In Thailand.
In Thailand?
Yeah, in Koh Phangan.
Okay. And you were just traveling, vacation or something? Yeah,
like, so basically I just started to do courses in that field because I started to do like more courses around like self-awareness and like, how can I heal myself? So of course, like, my journey started with ayahuasca like many years ago, and then like that was like an ongoing path, like, and then I was just like,
started with ayahuasca.
yeah.
Oh wow. Well, now I have to ask you, like, all right, all the details about your ayahuasca experience. That's where this podcast was born too, from ayahuasca. Yeah, the main message I got from my very first ceremony, I mean, long story short, after interacting with my body and seeing how loving it was with me, like, by nature, it's all it knew. It's what it told me. Like, I'm like, how are you so loving? And it was like, it's all I know. And as I interacted with my surroundings and the nature and that ceremony, I was like, wow, like, everything is made of the same thing. Everything has the same nature. Like, love is our nature, right? So when was your first ayahuasca ceremony?
I think it's now a bit more than 6 years ago.
Okay. So we're going to bookmark the Tantra story and come right back to it. Tell me how you went to ayahuasca. What was the calling, or how did you end up enrolling into one, or signing up for one? And
so, you know, like, I've heard the first time about ayahuasca like 15 years ago. and I was looking with my best friend at this time documentary about it, and we both said like, one day we go into the jungle and we do this crazy stuff.
It's one of those things like one day, right? We got to do that.
One day we do it.
Yeah.
And then like, as I said before, like when I was on the point in my life when everything was not making sense anymore, and I was like, just like, hey, is this all life is gifting me? Like that cannot be true. Like there needs to be more. And I knew it deep inside of me. So, and at that point, I quit my job, and at this time I didn't have a lot of money. I took everything I had and I went to Mexico. And I just went on a journey for like a couple of months, and I ended up in the jungle with this crazy, amazing guy who bought land there like maybe 20 years ago and was living with like some Mayan shamans and like was building there, like had everything built themselves and living in this beautiful garden called El Jardín place. And yeah, I'm so grateful for this time. Oh my God, like I was sleeping in a hut of like a wooden bed, and like I was like at this time I was hitchhiking. I was like,
how long did you spend sleeping in that hut?
I think I stayed there like, I don't know how many weeks.
Okay. A few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when was the ceremony?
I think the ceremony was really at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a lot of many other beautiful ceremonies and temazcal and like.
So tell me about like your first ceremony. If you can, like, what do you recall was your experience, and more importantly, what did you discover in that experience?
Yeah, so for me, it was really a releasing process. So as I said before, like there were many, many layers on top of me, and like my true being was like hidden behind that. And I also had like a big issue because I was like kind of like more performing than being myself in my life. I was really in my masculine, like in my masculine side. And yeah, so.
This is what you started to see during ceremony?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I had like this beautiful shift, like the masculine and the feminine were like rising, like connecting together and rising through me. And this is basically also like one thing that like I'm bringing to this planet is like divine union. So in the future, I'm gonna start working with couples because it's just what I feel called to do that.
Yeah.
And that was it was like there was like many layers shifted in this first ceremony. I was like a lot of darkness, like really a lot of darkness. And you know, like that was basically like to get to this person I wanted to be. I saw like this vibrate women, like being ecstatic and like full of pleasure, and I was like, I wanted to be there. But nobody tells you that you cannot choose like I just want to have like the nice feelings. Like, so nobody told me like, hey, if you want to feel that, you have to feel it all. So when this was basically like in the ayahuasca ceremony, my first ceremony was basically the first moment when I started to feel like that there is a lot of like anger and fear and frustration and like just like a lot like hidden like inside of me, where I always like just pressed down. And I saw like I have to let it come. I have to feel it. I have to feel it.
Feel what?
Like all the emotions. Like I have to start embracing it. Otherwise, I won't get to the point that I can be like this loving person I want to be.
How did you have that intuition or that knowledge to know that, okay, I have to feel this? if I want to get to that point? How did you know that that's what you needed to do?
So, like, I from the ceremony, like, I just, like, it was not so clear in the ceremony, but now when I look back, that was like the starting point, basically, from my whole journey. The journey I'm on now into the field of sacred and conscious sexuality, and it's like, also, like, during sex, and I think, like, nobody talks about it, but many women experience it. Like, you can, like, through orgasm, or even, like, just during sex, can, like start crying or laughing, or, like, anger can rise. Like, I had it, like, many times where I just got so angry, like, that I could just punch, like, and I had to stop. Like, now I can tell my partner and say, like, I need a moment, and I just punch a pillow, like, or scream into a pillow, and just, like, feel it. And, like, there was an inner wisdom that came to me, and I knew, like, when I want to feel more love, I need to feel it all.
Yeah.
But of course, this is stuff I learn. This is stuff I learn in the Tantric Institute, and we learn how to navigate those things. Right.
And we're gonna get to that in a moment. So just to bring the Ayahuasca ceremony story to the close. So what? So there you were. You had the experience of, okay, I gotta feel these feelings. If I really want to feel the full joy that that's available to me or out there, like, I gotta feel these feelings. And what else? Then what happened? What was your takeaway?
My takeaway was basically this. I don't know if you can see it.
Right, so people listening can't see it, right? So you're showing me the tattoo on your left forearm. So there's a bigger circle and a smaller circle. Inscribe that circle.
Okay,
with
so
red.
Can I describe what it is?
Yeah, you describe what it looks like.
So this is the small circle is the sun, and the sun is the sign for the masculine. And this one is the moon.
Okay.
It's a half moon, and the moon is the sign for the feminine. So we have the masculine and the feminine, and this is, like, the red is the energy. Okay. I have the masculine and the feminine energy, what is basically flowing in one direction. This was actually my download from this first ceremony.
The masculine and the feminine energy working in unison towards the same direction.
Yeah.
And which direction is it?
It's wherever I want to guide it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was what you walked away with from your ceremony.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I knew, like, this is just the beginning. So, yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a long time ago. It's
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So then we're back to, you discovered Tantra in Thailand, and you're like, I want whatever they have, right? And then what happened?
What happened? Like, so, I mean, it's kind of a long way. So it's, you cannot shift all these things from, like, into a couple of days or into a couple of weeks. Like, it's just like, it's like shifting your whole being. It's like, it's kind of like an ongoing process. And I always had the feeling like, this doesn't need to be, like, hard, or it doesn't need to be, like, those people, they do, like, crazy process work, and then they are, like, always processing, and they're always, like, a little bit like, yeah, it's just a lot, and like, so I just had the feeling like, this is not me. This is not my
They start to relate to themselves as broken or something.
Yes, because, like, I had, like, a lot of crazy things going on in my life.
Yeah.
And before, and I was just like, well, you know what? Like, so I can change it. And even though like the way doesn't need to be hard, like, so my intention was always already then was just like, hey, it needs just to be pleasurable.
I want to enjoy the journey.
Yes, I just want to enjoy the journey. Yeah, too. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, why can this not be fun? So, yeah.
I like that.
And of course, it was not always fun, and life is not always fun.
Yeah.
Especially like, I don't know, like for many women, it's like we have a menstrual cycle, and we have like crazy hormonal stuff going on, and sometimes it's really like an up and down.
Yeah.
But what I realized on my way was like, there are so like, you just need to know how to navigate through this, you know, and they are methods, there are techniques, and I don't say like this is perfect for everybody, like, but there are so many different things you can feel into and use when you need them.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about this for a second. This thing about like life is not always fun. You know, it's actually something I've been really starting to appreciate. By the way, the crickets are really enjoying being part of the podcast. I hope you are enjoying having them as well as you're listening. So that I think I started to see for myself how, I don't know, I guess I would call it like the Disney World mentality, where we grew up thinking like life is supposed to be like rainbows and lollipops, you know, along the way. And anything that's not super happy, super joyful, fun, it's like, it's bad, right? And like, what would you say about that? Like, could you expand a bit more on what you've experienced for yourself in your own journey about it isn't always fun?
So, yeah, of course, there are things in the life experience that are hurtful, or that are like just not cool. Like, but in the end, the thing we get out of it are just emotions, you know? And this is basically like, so my opinion to all of this is like, we should have to change all schools and teach children when they are young how to handle emotions. Because we tend to press away like feelings or emotions of like anger or sadness, or like look at parents with their children. Like if children like they start to scream or to cry about something, like you say immediately like, oh no, you don't have to cry. But maybe they just want to release something. So an emotion is basically just like an energy in motion.
Yes.
And we are here to just feel it, like embrace it, and just to let it move. Like in the Tantric world, you say like the body is an empty vessel. Yeah. Actually. And emotions are just moving through us. And we can actually support them in moving through us. That means like energies don't want to be stuck. They don't want to get stuck in our bodies. Yeah. Like they want to move out, and we can support them in like, they are like many cool works. Like they're just like, sport is, for example, like if you do like really like intense sport, that's perfect if you have like a high anger level or something, like just running, like letting it really out, or like screaming, punching a pillow, like wood chopping, like just to encourage like your anger, to let it come up and like really letting release out of the body. Because those pieces, and this is scientifically proven, like there is a huge book around it, it's called The Body Keeps the Score. It's like those pieces, they get into our cells, like they get stuck there, and everything what is into our cells is also like changing our DNA. Right. So
yeah, and in the West, we definitely don't train people to like allow those things to move through us. I think I would also say like we actually train kids to learn to stuff them. and don't bring them up because they're bad. You're supposed to behave, sit in your chair, don't move, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty tough what we do to children, right?
Really, it is tough.
Yeah. It'd be nice to have a school where kids just come in and there's supervision to the level where there's a safety. Like, as long as you don't like pick up a knife or start punching somebody to the ground, like run wild, you know.
But the thing
is, this is the screaming room. This is the climbing room with tons of cushions in case you fall.
You know what would be the difference? The difference would be like you want to put it on somebody else. So you would start realizing those are my emotions, and you would get aware. Like if you stop projecting something, and this is a main thing. Like when we are not aware, like when we are unconscious about all those things, like they are like blocking us. They are like controlling us in different situations.
Yeah.
And it's just not cool.
Yeah. Okay. Before we go into the actual work that you do and how it works, just because you shared this very relatable story that I think many people could relate to about like being dissatisfied at some deep level, right? Feeling like something's off, whether it's work or the way you're relating with people or the way you're interacting with your own body or the lack of connection with your own body. What would you recommend to people that are having that same experience? Like, what would be the main thing that you would recommend to them?
So if they are like kind of like really disconnected.
Yeah, they're just dissatisfied with life, wondering like, I'm not sure, like something's off. I'm not quite at the source of it. I can't quite pinpoint exactly what.
So basically, and this is what I do every day, every single day. And even now, like when I have time, like I do a couple of times a day, like just laying down, putting my hands on my belly and on my heart, and just breathing, and just start to connecting to your breath and start to be aware what's going on inside. Like, can you maybe sense some emotions, some feelings, and give them space? Because like that's just the first point. Like inner work, like before you start to do inner work, you need to get a connection to yourself. You know, it's and that's the thing. Like your podcast is all about love, and I love that. I'm also here to bring love on this planet. But before people can tap into that field fully, they need to embrace everything else as well. Like I'm a big fan of affirmations and stuff like that. But when you're just like every day, just like telling yourself like, everything is so nice and peaceful, and like
I'm joyful and everything is happening for me. I'm joyful and everything's happening for me. In the meantime, you're like stuffing all the misery.
Inside is like something else. What is really alive? Like, so it's just not working. Like this is blocking you, like from your subconsciousness, and so you're kind of like blocking yourself. So we have to start getting aware. Like we have to wake up. It's really like we have to wake up, like to getting, and this is like the biggest message from Tantra. And Tantra just basically the word means in Sanskrit means translated means tool, and it is just a tool from going from unconsciousness into consciousness. Yeah.
So that's what you mean when you say wake up. To bring what into consciousness? Become aware of what? What is there to wake up to?
Like to wake up with yourself, like move, like, because like we kind of like programmed, you know, inside. We're programmed from conditioning, from childhood experiences, from like, so the first years when you grow as a child, like you're just like taking up all these things, and this is like what your brain remembers, and this is kind of like our reality. And that's not true. So we have to like rewire those kind of things, and And this is what I mean with wake up. This is like really like waking up, getting aware of your subconscious mechanisms, like that they are running you. They are running you. So like getting aware of those patterns, getting aware of your blocks, getting aware and yeah, this is what I basically do in my work. Like I help women to get aware of those kind of things, like to reconnect to those pieces inside of them. They keep knowledge and they have information for them. Like I had get information from my body.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. And now I'm going to ask you the question that I'm sure maybe it's burning for many people, or at least it was burning for me the first time I ever started to learn about Tantra. Like, let's nail down what is Tantra, right? Because when I first heard about it, it's almost like, oh, like probably like some kind of like Kama Sutra, probably like the like real kinky stuff where you get really present with each other and do all kinds of kinky things. I've come to learn it's not that, and there's actually a lot more to it, right? And it's not even about sex, is it? So tell us what it actually is, how you would define it, and then tell us how you use Tantra to work with women and what kind of results are they having. All right, so what's Tantra?
Yeah. Okay, so it's basically like a really old tradition from India, and yeah, what you said, like it's not all about sex. I think there are like in total 112 different practices. Quite sure. And I think just 8 of them are like sexual, like with a partner. And it's what I said before, like, so Sanskrit is like the oldest language, the Indian language. And like, if you translate Tantra, it means tool. So it is basically a tool to go from unconsciousness into consciousness.
So that's what the word Tantra means, like tool.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right, so that's Tantra.
Yeah, it's not so sexual, huh?
No sex in any of that. You made it sound so much boring for me now. Okay. All right, so joking aside, so what do you do? Like if a woman says, you work mostly with women, right? So like, hey, I want to work with you. Like, what do you do with them?
Okay. So as I said before, I'm really supporting women to get aware of their inside world that is navigating them unconsciously from their subconsciousness. So I'm bringing awareness there. So I'm bringing them into consciousness.
By doing what?
So those are like some somatic practices I learn, like I'm guiding them through. But it combines a lot with breath work and visualizations, meditations. But it's a lot like that, as you mentioned before, like I work a lot with pleasure as well. And this is just like one, it's not just a reason because it's so much fun and we love pleasure. It is also, so they just like a couple of years ago, they made some tests and it's always a bit heartbroken to say it. But they made tests on monkeys. So when they basically they tested monkeys like to like they opened their head and the brain and they tapped like the hand like this and they made them with the finger that they need to do like this movement. So and when you do something for a longer term, like neurals in your brain gets built. Because you're like, it's kind of like studying something. So and then they did something really cool, not cool for the monkeys, but for the study. They activated like the pleasure center in the brain. They stimulated the pleasure center in the brain, and they let the monkeys still do this specific movement. And guess what they figured out?
What did they figure out?
So basically the neurals were still built, but 10,000 times more. So whatever you do, if you put a little bit sense of pleasure on it.
So you mean they learned 10,000 times faster?
Yeah,
What they were trying to teach them when they stimulated the pleasure center of the brain?
They don't. Yeah, sorry. Maybe I cannot really put it into the right words. It's my English. So they basically they're not teaching them. Like they just put their finger like on something. They had to do this movement, and if you do something repeatedly, repeatedly, you get you build new neurons in your brain. Like new strings of neurons are built in your brain. So when they stimulated in the same time, like when they had to do this movement and the neurals were built, they stimulated the pleasure center in the brain. It just gets 10,000 more neurals built.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Okay. So now how do we relate this to Tantra?
So basically, whatever we do when we use pleasure with it, it just goes way faster. You know? So when we say so there are many liberating methods, for example, when we have emotions stuck in our bodies or we want to especially with women, we have many women don't feel worthy. Many women don't feel like they deserve a pleasurable life or whatever they desire. Most women are even just afraid of desire anything. So, and when we work in combination with pleasure, and I'm not working one-on-one, I can work them through pleasure practice, of course, but they get really nice juicy homework from me. So I do that myself. It's really cool. So and I work a lot with visualization and manifestation. So and basically, if you just everything you add pleasure in, it's not just soothing your nervous system. It's balancing your hormone system, what is really cool for women. But it's also getting you way faster into your new reality.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And you have different somatic practices that you incorporate into your training with them.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we're gonna start to wrap up now. So what would you if somebody wanted to learn more about the type of work you do, they wanted to learn more for themselves, how they can use some of the stuff that you talked about to improve whatever aspect of their life they're working on, please go ahead and share with us, how can people connect with you?
So right now you can connect with me via my Instagram. So my Instagram, it's basically the only place
at La Livia Luz.
Yes,
right? Okay.
At La Livia Luz. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm offering really soon my next online course.
Starting when?
I'm offering really soon my next online course.
When does it start?
It starts the 6th of September to New Moon. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
Really
so if you want to connect with Livia, follow her at Instagram at La Livia Luz, and we'll go ahead and tag that in the show notes. And all right, that's the main way to do it, right?
Yes,
okay.
Right now that's the main way to do it. There will come more for sure in future, but right now I feel really comfortable with my Instagram, and I share lots of free content there. And I'm really happy also if you reach out to me via direct message, and I'm just like there's a lot in creation right now. Like there's a lot coming through. So it's amazing if you connect there with me, because then you you get more of me.
All right. Awesome. Well, what have you liked the most about Santa Teresa, Costa Rica?
Gosh. I feel so home here. I haven't felt so at home since, I don't know, like I felt always drawn to live at the ocean. And I love Switzerland. It's such a magnificent country, but this place here is just like, it's magic here, and the right people come here, and like it's just like everything is just in a flow. It's such a really natural flow, and like the energy of creation here is it's massive. I don't know how you experience it, but
it is quite interesting, and it, like, don't we have such an awesome tribe down here? We have like a legit tribe.
Oh my god!
And when I met you, I thought like you were one of those people that's probably spent like 2 years here already. Like you've been here for a long time. But I think you said you got here in April, right? I was here before you. I came at the end of March. I was here for 3 weeks, and I did a visa run, and I came back now in May. So it's my 3rd month now. So. Altogether like 4 months, and you seemed so well integrated. Like you connected with all your sisters, with this wonderful sisterhood. I really appreciate like all you guys' connection. I say you guys is so politically incorrect. You ladies' connection, you know. so it's just beautiful to see, and I gotta give it up to women. You know, like women are leading the way. And with this whole shift that I see is happening, and going back to love, going back to the heart center, clearly what we've been doing up until now, and in the Western world, running the world in this Western way of life has taken us astray. And not only at an eco-political spectrum and societal spectrum, but also at a deep individual, personal spectrum as well, right? We seem to have lost our way, and we're disconnected, and women are, in my opinion, leading the way in that.
And especially here, I have to say, I like it's so beautiful. Like my heart was craving for that, like for women who are really like are just like empowering each other, and like just like cheerleading each other, and like these co-creations are happening here, and it's just like, it's so beautiful, and it heals like heals like all my wounding I've had, like, you know, like this competitioning around like women, and like just like there's a lot of separation, especially like where I grew up, and it's just like my heart feels so healed, and I feel so whole from this women here. It's just like
amazing,
so cool.
All right, awesome. Well, Livia, it's been such a pleasure to chat with you, to hang out with you. Here it's the sun just set, so it's like dark now. Thank God we have a light here. So, thank you for coming on the Love is Our Nature podcast. Is there anything else you want to say before we say goodbye to our wonderful listeners?
I'm just super grateful that if you're still listening, if you took time to listen to this podcast, to listen to my words, and I'm just so grateful to be here. Also grateful that you're doing this podcast, and you're like really spreading this work and those people, and thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here, really.
Thank you. Pleasure's all mine. This is amazing. All right, everyone. There you have it. Thank you for tuning in again to another episode of the Love is Our Nature podcast. I leave you with some fantastic music and our poster, and I see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.